Hello everyone and welcome to Module 8 LGBTQ+ Inclusion and Supportive Policies. Today we will be looking at LGBTQ+ Inclusive Workplace Best Practices. The aim of this presentation is to give an overview of the best practice approaches to creating LGBTQ+ inclusive working environments. At the end of this presentation you will be able to discuss ways to create a more inclusive and supportive work environment for LGBTQ+ employees. First, we'll look at the ongoing issue of workplace discrimination against LGBTQ+ individuals within the EU. Next, we will discuss the impact of this discrimination. We will explore how it affects the overall well-being, job opportunities, and financial stability of LGBTQ+ employees. Moving on, we'll look at fostering LGBTQ+ inclusion, followed by diversity outreach and recruitment. We will then discuss the role of inclusive policies. This includes implementing or amending policies to support LGBTQ+ individuals, and ensuring that these policies are backed by senior leadership to drive meaningful change. Next, we will explore the benefits of awareness training, followed by the importance of allyship. Next, we'll address the significance of language in promoting inclusivity and replacing binary assumptive gendered language. Finally, we'll focus on the use of pronouns. We'll discuss why using correct pronouns is essential for respecting gender identities and review legal frameworks that support this practice within Europe. A recent European survey showed that 19% of lesbian, gay and bisexual people, 35% of trans people, and 32% of intersex people felt discriminated against at work in the previous year. Discrimination against LGBTQ+ people persists throughout the EU. LGBTQ+ individuals face discrimination during recruitment, throughout their careers, and at the end of their careers, despite existing EU legislation such as the Employment Equality Directive aimed at preventing such discrimination. LGBTQ+ individuals not only face workplace discrimination but may also face early stigma and bullying. LGBTQ+ individuals may encounter these issues from a young age, which adversely affects their educational outcomes, future job opportunities, daily lives, and overall well-being. Many LGBTQ+ individuals face barriers to finding fair and stable jobs, which may increase the risk of poverty and social exclusion. Recent research has shown that 51% of intersex and 48% of trans persons, 35% of lesbians, and 31% of gay men experience financial hardship in their households. An organization can demonstrate its commitment to promoting inclusion by implementing an intentional and integrated approach. Establishing an inclusive environment requires strategic efforts integrated at every organizational level. Organizations should demonstrate a visible, genuine commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion starting at executive level, extending to all other levels within an organization. This could look like communications that consistently use inclusive language to promote the value that the organization and its senior leaders place on equality, diversity, and inclusion. High-level executives can showcase their personal commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion within the organization and encourage their team members to do the same, taking accountability for their own actions, fostering an inclusive culture, and leading by example. One way an organization can demonstrate its commitment to LGBTQ+ inclusion is by making intentional efforts to ensure LGBTQ+ individuals feel welcomed and valued within the organization. How can organizations achieve this? Firstly, they should prominently display their diversity statement on both public-facing and internal websites, alongside clear policies against harassment. This action signals a commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion. It also provides a transparent framework for addressing any issues that arise. Secondly, educating recruiters about LGBTQ+ specific concerns is essential during the hiring process. This training helps ensure that recruiters are aware of and sensitive to the unique challenges faced by LGBTQ+ candidates, creating a more equal and supportive recruitment experience. Developing recruitment materials that reflect LGBTQ+ diversity or providing specific resources for LGBTQ+ candidates can make a significant impact. This representation helps potential employees see themselves as part of the organization while also underscoring the organization's dedication to equality, diversity, and inclusion. Adjusting terminology on job descriptions and application forms to be more inclusive of LGBTQ+ identities is an important step. By using language that acknowledges and respects diverse gender identities, organizations can create a more inclusive and affirming application process for all candidates. LGBTQ+ inclusive policies. Organizations that receive public backing and support from senior-level executives, C-suite members, and board members send a clear message to the rest of the organization. This leadership commitment is essential for driving meaningful change. One way to demonstrate this commitment is by introducing or amending and maintaining LGBTQ+ inclusion policies. These policies should clearly outline the organization's stance on equality, define acceptable behavior, and provide guidelines for addressing any incidents of discrimination or harassment. In addition to LGBTQ+ specific policies, organizations should have an overarching equality, diversity, and inclusion policy to further reinforce their commitment. This policy serves as a comprehensive framework that ensures all efforts to promote equality are integrated throughout the organization. While the responsibility of progressing equality, diversity, and inclusion is the responsibility of everyone in the organization, it starts with the leaders. Backing from board members and senior leadership is essential in making these policies effective. Leaders must role model inclusive behavior and lead in a way that values equality, diversity, and inclusion, setting clear standards of behavior and holding others in the organization to account. Here is an example of an LGBTQ+ inclusion statement from the Deloitte website. At Deloitte, we want our LGBT+ people to feel confident in being who they are and empowered to thrive at Deloitte and in society. Everyone should be able to be themselves at work. LGBT+ inclusion is one of our core global diversity, equity, and inclusion pillars. Our LGBT+ inclusion strategy is aligned to delivering on our commitment to the UN Standards of Conduct for Business in tackling discrimination against LGBTI people, of which we are a proud signatory. While publicly showcasing an organization's commitment to progressing equality, diversity, and inclusion is important, it is not enough by itself. In order to make actual change, organizations must make appropriate actions in order to support their commitment. This can look like awareness training, promoting allyship, and promoting the use of inclusive language. According to recent studies, all measures of workplace diversity training and ally behavior resulted in a positive increase of LGBTQ+ employee well-being. The study also revealed that when cisgender heterosexual employees actively engage in workplace diversity training and form stronger ally networks with LGBTQ+ colleagues, it generally improves the well-being of LGBTQ+ employees. Allyship is using your position of privilege to help people from one or more marginalized groups you don't identify with. This should be done without expectation of reward or thanks, and should not be used around the empowerment of others. Rather to show solidarity, support, or the creation of safe spaces. The Harvard Business Review conducted a 4-year project to investigate how LGBTQ+ individuals determine whether someone is an ally. The project included thousands of LGBTQ+ identified participants to understand the causes and effects of allyship. Asking 109 LGBTQ+ participants what it meant to be a good ally, they found 3 key components. Firstly, being accepting, they make people feel safe and supported. Secondly, taking action, they advocate for the group, raise awareness, and defend the group. And lastly, having humility, they are a good listener, they are open to correction, and they are willing to learn. Being accepting. Participants considered being accepting as the most important of the three components. Allyship is grounded in acceptance. Using the Harvard Business Review's allyship scale, people who were rated as wanting equal rights for everyone and caring that people are treated fairly would score highly on this component of allyship. The survey also shows us that taking action without acceptance and confronting one's own bias has a limited impact. Taking action. LGBTQ+ individuals considers good allies as people who will speak out against anti-LGBTQ+ discrimination and seek out opportunities to learn about LGBTQ+ issues. Educating oneself, learning about issues that impact the LGBTQ+ community while also confronting interpersonal and systemic biases are key to good allyship. Some people fear taking action, with the perception of facing consequences. The Harvard Business Review's research found that taking action is the most crucial element in allyship for improving the well-being of LGBTQ+ individuals. Having humility. The last component of being a good ally was having humility. The research suggests that a good ally will listen more than they speak in discussions of LGBTQ+ issues and keep the focus off of themselves in discussions of LGBTQ+ issues. Being humble involves authentically listening to learn about LGBTQ+ issues from people in the community, rather than performing solely trying to make a good impression. Language. Language is so often gendered that sometimes we don't even notice it. Gendered language can affect how we perceive others and their abilities. For example, job titles such as chairman, fireman and stewardess subtly suggest that a job is more suited to a specific gender. This kind of gendered language also excludes people who don't identify as exclusively male or female. For example, non-binary individuals may feel excluded or misrepresented by these gendered job titles. Small adjustments to everyday language can significantly contribute to respecting non-binary individuals and may also help to promote broader gender equality. Expressions such as ladies and gentlemen or boys and girls are examples of binary assumptive language that assumes there are only two genders. There are alternatives to use instead of these binary terms such as friends and colleagues, esteemed guests, among many others. These are inclusive terms that include a diverse range of gender identities. By consciously choosing words that respect and acknowledge diverse identities, we can create a more welcoming environment for everyone. For instance, using gender-neutral terms like firefighter instead of fireman or chairperson instead of chairman can help reduce gender assumptions and make all individuals feel seen and respected. Organizations can also replace his or her with their in policies and procedures and other materials or rephrase the sentences to eliminate gender-specific references. Additionally, organizations should ensure that surveys and application forms provide more than just male and female gender options. The LGBTQIA Resource Center describes pronouns as linguistic tools that we use to refer to people. For example, they, them, theirs and she, her, hers, and he, him, his. Pronouns are integral to who we are, and we share pronouns because we want to avoid assuming someone's pronouns based on factors like physical appearance. When we use a person's preferred pronouns, it provides gender affirmation and respect for the other. The use of correct pronouns and titles is one of the most basic ways to show respect for someone's gender identity. Being misgendered can be an extremely hurtful and invalidating experience. Thank you for joining us today. Here's a quick summary of the key points we covered. We discussed the ongoing issue of workplace discrimination faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in the EU and its impact on their well-being and job opportunities. Strategies for creating an inclusive environment were highlighted, including the importance of visible commitment from leadership and integrating inclusive practices at all organizational levels. We reviewed best practices for diversity outreach and recruitment, emphasizing the need for inclusive recruitment materials and policies that reflect a commitment to LGBTQ+ inclusion. Additionally, we covered implementing and maintaining effective LGBTQ+ inclusion policies, supported by senior leadership to drive meaningful change. The benefits of awareness training and allyship programs were discussed, focusing on how they positively impact LGBTQ+ employees and foster a supportive work culture. Finally, we addressed the importance of using inclusive language and correct pronouns to respect and affirm gender identities. Here you can see a list of the references used throughout the presentation. These sources will assist you in researching more deeply into the best practices and policies for creating an inclusive workplace. Thank you for listening. I hope this presentation has provided you with a deeper understanding of the unique issues faced by the LGBTQ+ community within the workplace and the knowledge needed to start making positive adjustments in your organization and personal lives.